I spoke my first sentence in Thai today, and it's a bigger deal than you would imagine. It wasn't just a phrase that means good morning or good afternoon or anything like that. It was a real response that I constructed after listening to a native speaker. And it shows something that we forget all too often. Not just in learning languages, but in life in general. Hi, my name is Jackson from The Traveling Linguist, and I started learning Thai around 6 months ago. 7 months ago by the time this video comes out. Just because I think the language is cute, and starting off, it was really hard, as you would expect. It took me 2 months to learn the alphabet alone, just understanding which class it belonged to and which sound it made at the beginning or the end of a word. It was at this point I realized it was going to be a very long journey, and throughout the last 4 months I've just been grinding flashcards with very specific common words that I see. And when the time came to listen and to give a response, I was actually able to do it, even though I'd been struggling to do it for about 3 weeks at that point. It was the first time that I had listened, understood. Granted, the native speaker wasn't going full speed, that'd be crazy. But even still, I listened, I understood, and I gave a response back that he could understood. And it was amazing. It was amazing, because I didn't expect that to happen at all. I'd only been learning Thai for about 6 months, which I guess seems like a long time, but in my mind, I still felt like I was so far off just because of how different the language is. But looking back, 6 months is plenty of time to be able to memorize the correct words and listen and respond. But when I was actually practicing all that stuff, I didn't think I could. I was essentially faking it until I was actually able to do it. And that faking it period, it sucked. It was hard. It was very demotivating. It made me want to give up because I just didn't feel myself making any sort of progress whatsoever. And it had been 6 months. And just when I was questioning, is it all worth it? Is it worth it to study this language just to get nowhere? Boom, I'd understood and responded for the first time. And even though it may not seem like a big milestone to other people, to me it was a huge milestone because it was something that I had been working hard at for a long time, and it was at that moment where I was finally able to have my big breakthrough. And if you've ever done something incredibly difficult and stayed and plateaued, that's the word I'm looking for, plateaued, then you know how hard it is to continue pushing even when you don't see any progress. And from this whole experience, I've come up with 2 big takeaways. The first is that progress is often invisible until that breakthrough moment. This is especially true in language learning when you just receive so much input and try so hard and really struggle to make any headway because of how intrinsically difficult it is to learn another language, because it's insane that you have to memorize all of the words and speak them without really thinking about it. Like, that task in and of itself is incredibly difficult. It's inherently difficult. And I think people often forget that. So when people expect to make big breakthroughs and don't see any, it's incredibly demotivating and often seems like it isn't worth it. But when you hit that big breakthrough, it feels nice. It feels very nice. And I think, importantly, my second point is that this stresses how important it is for you to love your language. Because all that work that I went through would have been so much harder if I didn't like the language. It would have been the equivalent of doing chores for an hour a week that I didn't want to do, only for me to learn a language that I don't even like. Like, it doesn't really make sense to learn languages that you don't like unless you need to use them or you like them. Because take Spanish, for example. Everybody wants to learn Spanish, and there are many Spanish speakers who don't speak English. And it is a relatively easy language to learn, so a lot of people choose that one. But a lot of people also fail to learn this language because they don't actually love the language itself. They love the fact that they would be able to communicate with people, a lot of people that they wouldn't have been able to communicate with, but that's it. Anyway, that's just a side tangent. It really showed me how important it is to like what you do and to enjoy the process, because in a result-oriented society, it's very easy to forget that the whole point of achieving these goals is because you like doing what you're doing. And those who are often the best at something are the ones who enjoy it the most, or at least value the process rather than the outcome. And this totally extends into every aspect of your life, not just language learning. A story that I remember a friend telling me, I met a friend freshman year of college in a chemistry class, and she used to dance in Russia, and she noted how there were incredibly skilled ballerinas, and there were also those who weren't very skilled but loved doing ballet. And at the end of her tenure, she found that those who loved doing ballet were better than those who were naturally good at it in the start, even though they were at a huge disadvantage. At least you would think it's a disadvantage not being as good as somebody else, but it seems that in the long run, long term, doing what you love is the advantage that you seek to have. And this doesn't have to be just for careers, it can be for relationships and other hobbies that you do. Focusing on the process and loving the process is vital in doing what you want to do long term and being good at what you do long term. It's an investment. And I think this is incredibly valuable in relationships. It's kind of that idea that you get what you give, how the more you show appreciation for your close friends and loved ones, the more fulfilled you'll feel. Even though it seems like it'd be the opposite, how if you get more love and receive more love from them, you'd feel more fulfilled. But most of the time it is the opposite. And in my opinion, a lot of that has to do with the process rather than the outcome. If that makes any sense. Maybe I'm just rambling here, but I feel like I'm locked in. But relationships, like many other things, require work. Whether we want to admit it or not, it is work maintaining relationships. That's why you can't maintain an infinite number of relationships, because you don't have the time or the energy to do that. And it really just comes down to the work that you do. And this experience has shown me that everything that we do, all the work that we put in, will lead to moments. And in these moments, all of the work that we put in behind the scenes will come to light, even if we have been working in complete darkness.